So I'll call the meeting to order at this point. Mr. Wells won't be able to make it tonight as he's out of town. Everybody else is here, so we have 4 members. Bills and manifests, you have them, they're going around. We open, no need for a non-public session to begin with?
No, at the end, yes.
At the end, okay. So we'll start with opening public comment. Anybody from the public like to take this opportunity to address the board? No. Any board members like to address the board at this time?
I would, yes. I was surprised when I was alerted and read the latest missive from you. Starting with, there's a small group of people that are planning to use this opportunity to arbitrarily slash the budget by a rumored amount of $600,000. This could have a devastating effect on our kids, resulting in cut programs, curriculum development, larger class sizes, and reduced busing for both elementary and high school. There's not one word of truth in that. There is no small group. There is no discussion in this town to slash the budget. None whatsoever. And I just find that horrendous that you would put that out. I hope you bring millions to the deliberative session, but there isn't one word of truth in that, as you'll see.
Okay. Anyone else?
I'm amazed that you can say that there's no truth, because I'm surprised that you have an ear in every pocket in every little place in every town, but just in this town, but okay. I don't go on Facebook, so I didn't read it.
Ms. Gunter, anything from you?
No idea.
Okay. Then we'll close our public session and move on. First up is our deliberative session preparation. We have this in here because we need slides to present. Are they in the packet?
Yep. Yeah, you have, I handed out to everybody the entire packet that we're going to have available for the deliberative session. We're in the process of printing these now. These are the few that I ran for tonight. We'll be in the next few days printing off. We'll probably do 100 to 125. Is that sufficient for that night?
I think so. We've had in the past.
I don't want to run it short, but, you know, I don't want to have tons of extras either, so I figured right in the 100 to 125 range, we'll bring those.
And how many were there last year?
I'd have to go back and look, Tim. I think that we ran 125 last year.
I mean, I just don't believe that you're going to use that many, but
We
it's just-
probably won't.
It's a lot of paper.
It is.
Okay.
I hate shortening it for the night. I mean, if the board wants me to run fewer than that, I certainly will, but I just hate people coming in and running out of packets.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey, maybe they're all going to come running in. I mean, we're cutting busing, so.
I'm just trying to be responsible and having one for everybody,
Okay.
so.
yeah.
If the board would like me to do 50 of them, I'll be happy to do 50 of them.
I would think 100. Don't.
I'd say 100.
All right, Gary.
Still adjusting.
Sorry, how did you?
If there was a run on them, do we not have the capacity to do some here?
Yeah, we certainly can't come in the office and put them through the copier. Just understand that
Takes time.
it takes a while to copy these off.
Okay. I just,
And even on our machine down at the office, we have to run them in 25 at a time, so we let our machine cool off a little
Yeah.
bit. So we certainly can. I mean, we could probably run
the leftover, put them down the post office. People take stuff there.
15 or 20, so I'll do 100.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I'd rather overestimate and make sure everybody has one than have people not have one.
Cal just had us.
I'm sorry, Hal had a comment. Did you?
Just as something to consider when you're considering the number, I have it on my list of something to just double check, but last year we had Wi-Fi, and you know, we made it a point, and I think you have posted everything or will post everything by the deliberative session on the website. And so maybe you can get away with fewer, and if people really need some, while we're copying, they can use their smartphones and look at what we're talking about. So maybe you could get away with 50, because my recollection is we had about 80 people there
Yeah.
last year, of which, was there
It was
over
more than
100?
I think it was over 100.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was over 100 as well.
People can share, I mean.
No, but
husband
that's
and
true.
wife, so, you know, there's that, and between that and the smartphones, if we really run out of copies, at that point, you could, like I say, share smartphones and stuff, so just my suggestion, maybe 50's plenty to start. That sends a message too, that we're trying to conserve.
Thank you.
Can I make a suggestion on these, or are we gonna talk about these, or no?
Yeah.
I just was gonna say on the budget highlights, the last thing that is a double negative. So when you do the slides, if you just fix that one,
Okay.
like take the negative 2.4 out, because it says decrease of the health insurance premiums by negative 2.4. It's just a double
Oh,
negative.
okay, right, just get rid of the
Thank you.
negative. All right.
Yep. The other thing I was thinking about is, and I think we'd have to ask Kat about this, is, and of course, it's just in our packet tonight, is putting something in there from Kat about what she is doing, or the, is it in our packet tonight? Yeah, I think it's in our packet tonight.
Are you talking about the deliberative session
Yeah,
slide?
but showing what the curriculum director is doing in the school for us. I was thinking of the timeline that, where did I see it? It is in here, right? Am I wrong?
It is, it should be.
67.
68.
I'm just not back far enough. But something like that, showing what the curriculum
68.
directors, different types of things that the curriculum director is working on within the school, and to me, the positives of having the curriculum director in the school and things like that. No?
I mean, traditionally, what we do is, this is the numbers, these are what we're doing, and I give it a summary, and then we can answer questions about it, but
Okay.
I'd hesitate to use this as a rah-rah session, for all things, but
Okay.
honestly, maybe it'd be okay. I think it might be a little too late right now to
Okay.
consider doing that, but. Oh,
On the terms of school board members, something's wrong with their expiration dates on each one. Because there's not 3 in 2019, there's an odd year with only 1.
I don't think that's true. No, I think all three of them were elected to 3-year term. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's right, too.
Yeah, I think it's correct the way it is.
It's 2, 2, 2, and 1. It's a year with only 1. You're on a 3-year term.
No, that was last year. Because that was
he
that
was
was
the
me.
only
You finished a
last year.
3-year.
Right.
You're the
I
only
finished.
one, Then
Yep.
you should be 2020 on here.
Oh, which,
2019,
I'm sorry, which page are you on then?
The list of the officers.
I
Oh,
see.
okay. Yeah, I thought you were looking at the warrant, sorry.
Yeah, the front.
Oh, that's
5
actually-
pages in, 4 pages in.
Yeah, you're right. That should be 2020 for that one. We'll fix that, thank you.
So it should be 2020 for you, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other comments on this? How many? So, just so that we're clear, how many copies do we want him to print for this session? I'm leaning towards 100. We had over 100 people there last time.
Yeah, I think we should do
That, you guys okay with that? 100 makes sense for you guys as well?
I think 100 is fine.
Okay. So,
that. Okay. Just got another thing to add about the deliberative session. There was some concern about parking, and the Teachers Association is hosting a spaghetti dinner beforehand, and I know there was concern that there would be people coming for the spaghetti dinner and taking up the front parking lot, which is usually for handicap and elderly people. So we're going to put signs out and try to have everybody that's coming for the spaghetti dinner park down back. I also talked to Northridge Contracting that bought the Northwood Transportation property, and they said it was fine to park over there as well. So I'm going to ask the staff members at school if they can park over in that parking lot, kind of remove some of the volume there, put the spaghetti dinner people down back. That way we can have the front for the elderly and the handicap. So that'll free up most of the front and the side as well.
Great, thank you.
Yep. Is there anything else that we need preparation for or need to address for next week?
We met with Hal yesterday on the setup, physical setup of the gym and what he'd like to see and how to get that organized, so I think we're on the same page.
I think that's okay, and then I'll be back the afternoon thereof to actually test everything. Yeah, so I think the setup's okay.
We have the same panel as last year with the lawyer and.
Yep. Yep, you've got Mike Elwell, who's going to be the attorney. He's going to be covering Northwood this year.
All right, great. Anything else? All right, we'll move on then.
Oh, Keith, if you're ready to move on to other stuff, I got a couple items just to give you some reminders.
Okay, if the board doesn't mind, sure.
So, yeah, just please make sure everything's posted on the website, because some people will use that. Just a reminder about reminding me, if I try to move on to the discussion before I let you do your presentation, you speak up.
No, we'll do that.
I did that to Scott one year. And just so you understand, at least how I view it, we're a budget committee town, so for the budget, it will actually be Ginger proposing or making the motion. So my attention will be directed away, so if
Yep.
we're not careful,
So you'll read it, she'll move it,
she'll move it.
and somebody else from the budget committee will second it, probably.
I think in fairness, this is budget committee town, we need to let them speak first if they have anything to say. Usually she doesn't, and I don't have any indication from her, even last night, that she's going to say
Yep.
anything, but, she would get first shot, but then we move on to the presentation.
That works for me.
And then, just don't forget, if you want to do that, you can ask for a vote to not reconsider, but you can only do that after we are done with it. So just keep that in mind. I can't have that request come beforehand, you have to wait till we're done with it. So then, I just want to check, does anybody else have any questions for me? If not, then I'm all set, and when you're done with the slides, just please send me a copy.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to approval of minutes. We have a packet of minutes starting on page 4, for the public session of January 18th.
Motion to approve January 18th public session minutes.
Second.
Any discussion or corrections on these? All right. Everybody's happy? All in favor of the minutes as written?
Aye.
Motion carries, 4-0. We don't have any non-public minutes. So, Mr. Bruning.
My report begins on page 35. Your census looks pretty static from last month. Especially coordinators back. I attached a letter, which I believe is on page 36. Co-Brown went through transition review, indicator 13, and was 100% in compliance for last year. We just got that letter. Attended the New Hampshire Association of Special Administrators monthly meeting. We had a panel of attorneys and legislators. There's a typo in my report about the potential financial impacts of Senate Bill 193. And then last week you had a charter school student who had been referred to the special education team. And there's an update there that'll show up in your census after this month. Mr. McGuigan had asked me to include the grants, the Northwood relevant grants in the packet, so I did that. And then we need to take a minute and talk about the boiler. Last week, we met with Tom, Sayers, Jocelyn, Todd from TLM, who's a mechanic that works frequently in the building, and talked about the boilers. So your boilers have a life of 15 to 25 years. They were installed in 2001, 2002. One of them was rebuilt 3 years ago. They're in fine working condition. The issue with the boilers are the expansion tanks. There's a need to replace the 3 expansion tanks. Some expansion tanks have bladders that are replaceable, some don't. Yours are not. We talked about the ramifications of that. There's an inspection due in January. I don't believe it's happened yet. It'll probably happen in February. And it's likely that because when there's hot water under pressure in those boilers and it discharges, just like at home with an expansion tank, the water comes out, that they won't pass. So the cost for the expansion tanks is about $15,000.
All 3 or each?
All 3.
How big are these?
Excuse me?
How big are they?
I don't know, I didn't look at the expansion tanks. We met with the mechanic that's worked on the building before. So it's not really the furnaces that are deficient right now, it's the expansion tanks, so the board might want to consider how to pay for that. We have an RFP ready to go if the board should authorize that. And then after we get the bids back, the contractor would have to order the expansion tanks, and it looks like there's a 3 to 4 week lead time on that. And then it would take them a full day to install them.
And the inspection is when again, I'm sorry?
It was supposed to be in January, but I don't think it's happened yet.
So I mean, if these things are gonna fail inspection, I think this is kind of one of those must-dos. I'd be definitely up for you putting out the RFP immediately. I've got to imagine we can find $15,000 in the budget somewhere, unless things are very tight.
I think we'll be fine.
Is that something that we can take out of the capital improvement if we need to also?
I think so.
Is that?
Certainly.
Yeah, if you get closer to the end of the year and it gets tighter and tighter, you certainly could do that.
Yeah.
If they need replacing, I would certainly want to replace it, but I would like to have the inspection report. I mean, that's why we have inspections. We had an inspection report last year, and they didn't bring that up. And this year, I mean, that should be looked at, and, I mean, I would like a professional opinion. If one was rebuilt 3 years ago, was that right, 3 years ago?
Not the expansion tank, the boiler itself.
But they would have looked at that. So anyway, I'm quite familiar with expansion tanks. There's not much to them, but these must be awfully large. But I personally would like to have a professional opinion of,
So if we fail inspection, though, we have a certain amount of time to,
and so we should, I
Is
mean,
that
I
right?
have
I'm
no
asking a
problem with putting the
question.
RFP out.
no, right, but I'm
Not
asking a question.
whatsoever.
If we fail inspection, we have a certain amount of time to right the wrong.
They're not gonna shut the school down and freeze the kids.
I didn't think they were gonna freeze the kids, but
They're not
that's what
going
I'm
to.
asking, is do we have a certain amount of time? So we should put the RFP out so that we're hopefully gonna meet that amount of
Like a
time.
sensible thing to do.
All right, so I'm hearing the board would like you to put out the RFP, unless anyone has any objection to that.
We can do that.
We'll start with that and then see where that takes us.
And you have a list of who you're gonna send that to, or? We have quite a few.
Usually when we do RFPs, we post it in a number of papers online, and then we send it to everybody that is in the business that we can find. So if you've got anybody, or if anybody's got anybody in particular that they know about, we'll be glad to send them a bid spec.
Only one in town that might handle something that large would be mechanical engineering over there, but I don't even know if they do, to be honest with you.
We get it out to as many places as possible.
Anything else about the boilers right now? No, I wouldn't mind taking just a step back at the grant information. thank you for putting this in here. I did glance through it, but I didn't get a chance to really look at it in detail. I guess what I was really hoping for was more of a summary, so this, a listing of this is how the monies that are coming in, and these are the money and how they're being spent. Sort of like how we do in our operating budget. And this is maybe just a curiosity for me, so if the board doesn't think this is a big deal and wants to drop it, that's fine, but we do have a significant amount of money coming from grants. I'd like to just see how much it is, see where we're spending it, things like that. Maybe it's in here, I'm sure it is. It's just not really distilled.
It was a lot of reading.
Yeah.
I
It's
just
not really a
have this,
consumable document
No,
to have
it
all of this in there
Right.
with no explanation and no summary was not very helpful. And I didn't even know it was coming. I guess you asked for it, but
We asked for it at the last meeting.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just, with no introduction or, like I said, cover or explanation, I don't really know what I'm looking at.
so before we spend a lot of time and money on that, I just want to remind everybody, and I don't know who was at the last joint board meeting, but, so the joint board has, through the audit committee, agreed to spend $3,000 to $5,000 to audit certain things, one of which is the flow of money in the grant system. I didn't read it, but I saw when I looked at my email this afternoon, or this evening, that we have the list of things they're going to look at for the audit committee to approve from the auditors. So I think a lot of the information you're looking for, and I'm looking for, because I would like some of this information, would come out in that audit that the joint board is going to do. Because I can say that as far as the audit committee is concerned, we were surprised to find that monies commingle, that the auditors say is very natural. I'm just saying, we were surprised to find that. There were numerous issues with money commingling between the three towns and within a town that kind of surprised us. And she says, they say that's very normal in, not just in our town or our SAU, but all of them. So, but I think that you will see a lot of information come out of that
Yeah.
audit.
So maybe I'd be patient and just wait for that. That might
Yep.
be the way to go. Yeah.
That's all I'm suggesting.
But thank you for putting it in here. I appreciate it. Okay, any questions for Assistant Superintendent? You all set?
I'm good.
Right.
Before you go any further, so that I don't have to worry about it, there was, we were talking about a repair. Can I bring up a repair?
Yeah, I guess it's,
On the invoices. So they did some work to, I'm assuming, a sink, if I remember right. And the gentleman who did the repair has suggested that there's several things that are very nearly to break and should be replaced. And someone has decided not to do that repair. And I would like to question that. I would like some, so it's on that invoice, that I think I might have even circled what he said,
Upper wash arm.
what the repairman said. And that's something that is gonna be very few bucks, but it's a royal pain in the neck if it breaks and we don't have the sink for a few days or whatever. So I would just personally suggest that we repair those. Not that, I don't even think you need the board's permission to repair that, that's pretty minor. But it just seemed funny that we wouldn't repair something like that. Thank you.
Well, along those lines, if Jocelyn could just ask Tom to look into that, and if it's not a large expense and it's something that needs to be done, then we can just move forward with it.
Yeah,
Can do.
we have a budget for that stuff.
all set?
Thank you.
Yep. Moving on to the principal's report then, Ms. Young?
So I can
Yes, ma'am. And I
Great.
folded it, if you want to put it, the front page front.
So I want to begin by apologizing for Kat. She is ill, so she is not here tonight, so we will do a brief summary of her report. Our report begins on page 65. We started out with a sampling of some of the highlights of great things that are happening in our building. One of the things I want to mention, I think I brought it up last meeting, is that our teachers are piloting what's called a pineapple chart, and the reason behind pineapple is that it's a traditional symbol of welcoming. So it's a way of welcoming other teachers into classrooms to observe brief lessons, not any length of time. And there's a core group of us who receive an email when coverage is needed. I had the pleasure of being a temporary guest teacher in Mrs. Gibson's classroom yesterday. It was fun but humbling. My classroom management skills are a little rusty. Also wanted to commend teachers on really putting some effort into helping students understand the relevance of their learning in the world beyond Northwood School. And also comment on the bulletin boards, and I encourage you to check out the ones on your way out. Our teachers do a fantastic job of changing those out regularly and displaying student work and highlighting the learning that's going on. Update on assessment, we are finishing up NWEA testing this week. Dibbles assessments for K through 6 are complete. Kat and I both assisted with the administering of the math dibbles in kindergarten and first grade, which was a lot of fun. Those consist of 1-minute interviews with kids. There's 2 to 4 interviews with each kid. So it's just a nice opportunity to meet briefly with kids and chit-chat and have them show off a little bit as to what they know. So in the next coming weeks, as we go through the PLC meeting cycles and the data meeting cycles, we'll be looking at that data, and we will have a summary of progress for you to look at in the near future. Your turn.
Good evening, everybody. So, little update on the artist in residence. We had a guy, James Chase, come in, just kind of tour around the building to see where we could get, I guess, more of the most bang for our buck with the project that he wants to create. We got a couple places we have selected. I did offer the exterior wall out there, as Shane Laws had kind of mentioned before. I think that was a little lofty, but he plans on working with the 8th graders on a project in May. He's got some pretty cool designs he's done outside of here, because he is a professor as well. He has other projects, a lot in Rochester, I believe, so I took a couple of them and I put them on paper and it'll be handed around. Seems like a pretty nice guy, and pretty excited to have him on. He's got a pretty, he's pretty artistic. So.
And an extensive resume, I think it was
Yeah, oh yeah.
4 double-sided pages.
He's done a lot of work.
It's longer than
If you Google his
ours
name,
combined.
his stuff will pop up. But I think we'll have a lot of fun with him. I think the kids will really enjoy him.
On the next page, we have an update from Mrs. King, our Mara Vista coordinator. She is planning the 6th grade trip to Mara Vista the week before April vacation, from Tuesday through Friday, the 17th through 20. Most students are going. We have 3 right now who are not planning to go. All the paperwork has been handed out, and the staff and kids are looking forward to having Mara Vista staff visit next month to give some information and get them excited. And seems like we have a couple of board members coming with us, which is pretty cool. Barbie and Shane will be joining us. And we have Dale providing transportation. So we are looking forward to that. One final thing that was not in the written report, because it just came to me in the last few days, is Mrs. Clemens, our 8th grade advisor, is looking for board approval to sell Valentine's Day themed pencils in the next week and a half. Or up until Valentine's Day, to support the 8th grade class trip.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Can I ask you one question about the Mara Vista?
Sure.
For the students that aren't going, is there, I mean, you probably don't know, but is there a financial reason why that maybe they could reach out and we could find members of the community or something to help?
We have offered financial assistance. I don't think that's the cost.
Okay, thank you.
That's the first time we'd heard about, well, that's the first time I'd heard about the cost, so I can't imagine that it's financial, because I have a 6th grader, so I can't imagine that it's financial. Some kids just don't like to be away from home.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Can I ask a quick question? Where was the roof leak? I can't tell exactly from these pictures.
Yeah, so it wasn't technically the roof that leaked. The hallway going down towards kindergarten, there's a vent on the roof, and some water got in between the vent and the roof, froze and separated it, and so then water got down through the vent. So that has now been sealed and repaired.
Okay.
And then moving on to Kat's report. She's been working on the standards-based report card. Both individually, she's, really plugging away at the documents, but also meeting with the committee, starting to think about what professional development is needed for next year to get that going and well, and how to streamline it, because right now it's a little bit lengthy. She's also working on competencies for mathematics and ELA. We're using the state competencies as our basis, and modifying those to meet our priorities. She started her after-school professional development session, so she's been doing 1 hour on various topics. She started with unpacking the Common Core math standards. That was well attended by 9 teachers and paraprofessionals. She helped to conduct the Dibbles assessments. And then we're also working in tandem with PLC teams in grades 3 through 8 to really encourage and support the use of the DOE-provided interim and modular assessments to help not only prepare kids for testing, but to collect some data on how they're doing related to those standards for purposes of reteaching before we get to testing. Just a reminder, that testing window opens in March and closes in June. My guess is that most of our grade levels will probably test towards the second half of that, so that we can get as much instructional time in as possible. Any questions on that?
I would like to make the comment, though, that I was very glad to hear my sixth grader say that the sixth grade team seems to be meeting once a month, and that they're going to what I call specials at that time. So I think that's great use of.
Yep, it's twice a month.
Oh,
Except in like December.
Okay, maybe he said that, but but I thought he said once a month. But it's nice to hear that you're using the resources within the room instead of having to bring in substitutes.
Yep. And then on the flip side, we have the curriculum review and implementation schedule. It is jam-packed because we wanted to make sure that we got to everything within the next couple of years. If we did just one subject area a year, we'd be going out 4 or 5 years, and that seemed like too long. So we tried to be strategic. We're working on ELA and math already, so the I is we're currently implementing those new curricula this year. Science is under review this year and will be implemented next year. Next year, we'll be working with social studies, world language, and health. With implementation the following year, and then the other related arts will be reviewed in the 1920 school year, and then there's a pretty steady cycle of review moving forward. Just a couple notes down at the bottom. If standards change, obviously our curriculum will likely change, so this is not set in stone. And then ELA and math often, when we review curriculum, would involve purchase of new resources, whether it be programs or various supplemental things. So we'll just want to keep that cycle in mind come budget season.
No, it's actually the implementation where you need the new resources, right? It's not the review? Or am I wrong about that?
I'm sorry, what?
You have a review phase and then an implementation phase for each of these things. It's the implementation phase that would need the materials, right?
Right, but it would be the review phase when we'd be identifying those.
Yeah. What might be needed.
The financial needs, yeah.
Okay. So it looks like we have, it's like a 6-year cycle on these subjects. Does that mesh with the policy that we have? I thought the policy was 4 or 5. I can't remember exactly.
Well, it is 4 if you're looking at the review. 5.
I'm just looking from review to review, right? That's what we're.
Oh, I see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, and I guess the hard part too is like if you're going to be reviewing them in 23rd, like reviewing them this year for say science.
Right. And then 6 years from now, you review again. I'm just asking what.
No, I'm just
where we're
thinking
going
of
with
the
policy.
asking for the resources. Is that really, like, are you going to review them early enough or whatever? Because usually you have to ask. So you would have already had to have asked for what you need for next year.
Right, so what we have done in the past, and it's in the current budget, is placeholder. So we identify, yes, we will need a new program. Most programs are about this amount of money, so we don't specify what it is, but we have the funds available for it.
I mean, this looks like a realistic schedule. I mean, I know our policy may call for more frequent reviews of things, and maybe we should re-examine that policy is all I'm
Right,
pointing out
that's what
here.
I
I
was
mean, if
gonna
we don't
say.
have the resources to do it in a 5-year cycle,
Yeah, we
what's
worked
more
on
important?
this.
Is it more important to have the 5-year cycle, or is it more important to do it, with what we have?
We worked on this over a month ago, so I'm a little rusty on my memory, but I think we did stretch some of them just so that we didn't have years where we were trying to do too much. Because, in 6 through 8, we're departmentalized, but in K through 5, if we're doing ELA and math and social studies all in the same year, those are the same teachers. And that's a burden.
So maybe we should bring that policy forward or look at that policy
Yep.
and review it to make sure that it's looking,
Yeah, it's realistic,
Like,
right? We want to make it
right,
realistic. If
right.
it's not realistic.
and
then-
we're following it.
Yeah. Either that or we have to sink more resources into this if we really want the five-year cycle, right?
Right. Well, I think that if they're saying that this is realistic and this is a better budgetary way to look at it also, instead of trying to do, sink a lot of money into ELA and math, which is what we've done the last 3 years,
Right.
and spread that out, I think then we need to look at the policy and change the policy, instead of trying to sink that money in again in 6 years or whatever.
Yeah. We'll bring it back at some point. We'll just have the policy committee maybe just.
Well, when do you want the policy committee to start up again? You want
Yesterday.
it-
You're not been going?
I mean, you're pretty much done with your budget prep
I would say probably after the reorg is probably the time to do it.
after the reorganization in March.
Yeah. That way we can,
Maybe just.
unless it's stuff that people wanted to get done before then. But I don't see this being a pressing thing to address.
Oh, good.
If you guys want to meet, you can still. We're not saying you can't.
All right, I think that's all we have.
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions for our principal or our acting curriculum director for the night? Okay, thank you very much. How did well, were you gonna, maybe one of you were gonna handle this, but the presentation for the kids for
The
on
Katie
Monday?
Greer presentation?
Yes, how did that all turn out?
I'll tell you what, to have 3 sets of 7th and 8th graders from 3 towns in the gym, engaged with a screen and a presenter for an hour without a behavior issue or a miscue or an off task was pretty incredible. I think I sent a note to the board chairs and to the principals. I was very impressed with the student behavior and their level of engagement and their questions that they were asking and the resources and discussions that she was having with them. And they were probably not easy discussions for those kids to hear when it came to Snapchat or Instagram and how to protect yourself. But the kids seemed to have received it very well. The parent night was a little smaller. It was somewhere around 32 or 33 parents, which is still pretty good for a parent night. And again, the parents were really well behaved and they were engaged. And they seemed to enjoy the presenter, and they had really, really good questions at the end.
Good.
All in all, it was a great event. I was here for both presentations, as Jocelyn was and Adrian. It was good. It was nice to really be able to offer something to the parents that they could find tangible and useful. And then Ms. Greer gave all the parents her Facebook page and website. If they had questions, they could ask her questions directly and get answers about managing their children's use. But, and the comments from the parents afterward were positive.
I think the kids were a little stunned just how vulnerable they could be. I think there's a false perception that even though there's been so much education around it, that it's still the internet. They're so small and minute in the bigger scheme of it that she could come in and within 3 minutes find information on students and a lot of it. So I think they were kind of in awe and maybe even a little embarrassed if they had some things that were a little more deviant behavior, shall we say. So, but they were, just like Scott said, they were pretty engaged. They were definitely paying attention to what she had to say.
Great.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Everybody ready to move on? Okay, superintendent's report.
All right, I'll start on page 69 for your information for Lori Sweeney, Snowshoe Club Assistant, and I'll let Jocelyn answer any questions if you have them.
Or I can. Because this was part of the, from the stipends from the para, the person that, I can't, I don't think it was from the teachers, I think it was from the paras, because the person left,
You could ask them.
okay,
Who
this,
was
your
your
assistant.
assistant last year?
I was a teacher.
Right, last year, but the way that Julie had presented this to me was that the person had left that,
From the teaching staff, so it was put in as a teaching staff stipend last year. The support staff member would like to do the assistant snowshoe club this year.
okay,
Coming out of a different budget line.
okay. And there's still the money in there, so this is from the para lines, the snowshoe clubs assistant.
Thank you.
The way that I looked at it, she made it sound like the person was one of the paras that had resigned, but I couldn't remember the name. So that's how I was thinking of it.
And the other personnel report I handed out under separate cover, we've got Jody Labrie as the PD coordinator for the teachers, and that's in your general budget. On page 70, we've got the bus routes. You'll see that we have 6 buses running as of this past Monday. We're still running some of the kinks out of it and readjusting the routes and the times, and it seems to be going well, and our expectation is it will get better and better. So we're pleased to have that 6 bus online, and those are the routes for your approval.
We don't have to approve the times, just the routes.
No, it's really just the routes themselves, and they'll be tweaked a little bit. There may be some adjustments as we go, but these are the basic overall routes.
Motion to approve the, I don't know if I should do the colors or the 6 bus routes.
You can just do as presented.
Okay, 6 bus routes as presented.
Second. Any discussion on these? Hooray.
Got that right.
Yay.
We'll go with hooray in this discussion then. All right, all in favor of approving the bus routes as written?
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you. On page 72, 73, 74, there was a question as to bus registration. And it was brought up to me about how it was presented, so I called the town offices, and you can see on page 72, 73, and then 74, the registration. The bus registration really has nothing to do with us. We don't own the buses, we don't buy the buses, we have nothing to do with the buses. All we do is write the check for the services. So as far as the registration goes, you can see how it's done. As far as I'm concerned, that's between the bus company and the town of Northwood. I don't know how else to, we have nothing to do with that.
So you're comfortable that it's a town of Northwood, not the SAU?
Well, it wouldn't be the SAU at all anyway.
Right.
Well, that may be so, but that's what we were told, is it involved the SAU. So that was why I was
Yeah.
worried.
I mean, the SAU has certainly nothing to do with anything that is any individual district, so.
I just,
Certainly seems odd.
It-
Like,
it-
And his
something's
explanation just says, we do it, just,
I mean, I don't
this
think
is, we do it that
I
way
don't
just
think the town of
because. There's
Northwood
no.
wants to be listed as
Yeah.
on the registration, but.
See, again, that's up to the town of Northwood.
Right, yeah,
Well,
that's the
I
thing.
mean,
It's not a school district issue, yeah.
Believe me,
The
the town of
Northwood
Northwood will
School
look into it
District has
tomorrow.
nothing to do with it, and the SAU has nothing to do with it. I don't know what else I can,
Yeah, no, yeah, I think it's a peculiar thing going on, and I think you're right, though, it's up to the town to investigate that. if
right.
that's- if
I mean,
that's
I
an
asked
issue.
the questions and I called the town, and they said that that's how they registered the buses, so.
So you
There's
talked
no
to Judy.
explanation, though. It just says, we do it that way just because
That-
that's how we do it. And
That's
that's not really an answer, so I'm just And apparently they do it that way in 8 other towns, but that's still not an
But
answer.
again,
That's still not an answer.
That-
I'm gonna try when I register my cars, see what happens.
Yeah,
Tell me
but
what-
again,
My
the
car's okay.
Northwood
There you go.
School District, all you do is write the check for services.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm agreeing with you that it doesn't involve the school, and I'm happy with that. But I'm going to alert the town, because if something happened and somebody looked at the registration, that certainly indicates that the town of Northwood is part owner of those buses. I mean, it says owners, Student Transportation of New Hampshire and Town of Northwood. All right, thank you for looking into it. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else to do with that. I don't register the buses, so.
I will find out tomorrow.
Yeah. And no doubt it's to get the reduction in fees, right?
Right.
Because this is what,
We've been through this before.
Yes,
Yeah,
yep.
okay.
so yeah, let's not, this could backfire and come back to us and have to pay the fees, so that's the only thing I'm worried about, but if you have to, we have to.
Well, that's not our responsibility.
We're paying for
Well,
services.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We've got a contract for services.
We don't have a contract right now for
And I
anything.
could be wrong, but
Yes, we do.
I thought there was something in the contract
for
that
next
said
year.
that this is what happens, that they
Right now we
register, that our
We've got an
name
agreement.
would be on the buses,
I don't mind that, but
and that the.
I don't think the town of Northwood knows that they are part owner of some
Right.
buses. I really
But
don't
I'm
think
just
they
saying
know
that I think there's something in the contract that we signed that said that this is what would happen.
No, we had in the
Absolutely
contract, we had in the contract that the name of Northwood School District would be displayed on the side of the buses.
I spent an hour
That-
scouring
that
that
doesn't-
contract.
that
Doesn't have anything to do
That
with the
doesn't mean we own the buses, which you
No,
don't.
no, right.
It's just advertising, basically,
Right.
at that point.
I thought there was something in there, though, that the name would be on the registration or something, but it's been so long since I read it.
I don't
but-
believe so.
Okay.
All right. On page 75, you've got a draft proposal for the school board calendar. The calendar committee met and had some discussions about this, and this is the proposal.
And what are the changes?
Well, I will let Jocelyn speak to that. Jocelyn was the administrative rep on the committee.
So we had heard the discussion about the April snow days, so that's one major change, is we took that out. Another change was we kept the Deerfield Fair Day. On the original draft that Nancy Gedker had sent me, that was listed as a teacher workshop day. We made that a non-day, so that we could keep that teacher workshop day closer to when report cards go out. With standards-based report cards going out for the first time in November, teachers want to make sure we have time close to that to look at the information that they have about how students are doing and get some support in translating that into a report card.
Which day is that?
So that would be the October 26th day.
So that is a teacher's workshop day?
Yep, so that was one change that we made.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. This is the current draft, though. When you
This-
say you made a change, this paper is showing the
Those
current,
changes.
showing those changes,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, this calendar is accurate.
Yes.
Yes, sorry, that was
Yep.
my question, yeah.
So the 28th is the X day
We had issues with that before.
the fair?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
The last Friday in September. Other changes, we just changed a little bit of the language in the holidays. I would prefer that we not refer to the December to January vacation as Christmas vacation, because that's not as inclusive as I would like to be, so we renamed that winter, and then February became February, and April became April vacation. And I think that, do you remember anything else, Lauren or Bree, that was
You covered it.
a big point of discussion?
We took out some odd language that was at the bottom, and now I don't remember what it was.
The April vacation days being used as snow days, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, we took them out of,
Yeah.
okay, that's what was listed. We took them out of the calendar and also out of the language at the
Yeah,
bottom.
yeah. Seems like a very early start and not an early end to the year, but,
Well, it is an early end if you look at it. I mean, you're getting out on the 12th of June if everything goes
that's true, I guess, yeah. That's a couple of weeks before,
right.
a couple of years ago, yeah.
And this goes by the teacher's contract? I thought it was the last Tuesday of the month, no? No, okay. Motion to approve. Is that what we need?
Yeah, so I just had one other, I guess, comment. Obviously, the star days are snow days,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Is that in the key? I'm just wondering.
Well,
when
you're
people look at this.
Technically, you're supposed to identify 5 additional days that you can use for snow, but in reality, everything beyond the 12th of June
Right.
is open season if we have that many days, so
Yeah.
ultimately, we need to get the days in.
Yeah, I guess the last day shows June 12th is the last day, so people will understand that.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Barbara, did you want to make a motion to?
Motion to approve the 2018-2019 calendar
Second.
as presented.
Any further discussion?
Why is total instruction days 180 days starred?
It's required by state statute.
The
So why
footnote.
is it star?
The footnote.
To me, you look up above, you see the 13, 14, 17, 18,
I was thinking the same
19,
thing.
20, 21 has star. You look down and find a
Right.
star, and that
Yes.
has 180 days. So I think the star should come out, and somebody should put a star and say snow days.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, it's,
I don't know that's so egregious that I'd send it back to the calendar committee, but.
No, I don't
But I do.
either. I
but-
just-
We can make that adjustment, that's
yeah,
an easy
it just,
adjustment.
Yeah.
it looks, it's confusing. So,
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
I mean, I like the star, 13, 14, 17, 18, et cetera, but I think that star should be down here as snow days, not as total instructional days, 180 days.
Yeah.
We can do that.
All right.
Sorry.
Sorry, Fred, are you okay with that amendment to your motion? All right. And the second, okay? All right. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, just a couple of other quick things. At the last meeting, Tim had mentioned the piece by Jamie Vollmer of all of the things that have been added to the school day, expectations and responsibilities over the years. So I brought those for the board this time,
You
and
found actual copies of them, too.
actual copies of them, so. By Jamie Vollmer, had an opportunity to listen to him a couple of times, very well-spoken and does a nice job, so I just thought I'd bring those for the board as well.
Thank you.
The other piece, just kudos and certainly going above and beyond. I just want to thank Adrian for being the traffic control officer out in front of the building. That position is still posted. We're still looking for anybody that's interested in that. Adrian has literally jumped into action and is out there in the mornings, making sure everything runs smoothly. And it's it's not an easy task. It's a little frightening being out in the middle of Route 4 in the morning time. So I just appreciate that. So thank you. And that's all I have.
Do we have an update on the gentleman that was doing it?
I don't have a recent update, no.
Probably not something we want to talk about anyway. But I hope he's doing well. All right, on to new business. If the board doesn't mind, there's one thing that came up recently that didn't make it onto the agenda. It's very small, so. As part of the deliberative session, the teachers union is putting on a spaghetti dinner for the community. Anyone's welcome to come, as far as I know. And they,
Just say it's like the Northwood staff, I just don't.
sorry, thank you.
Just the teachers, I just,
Oh.
full staff.
Thanks. And it sounds like they've been able to get lots of donations from lots of different restaurants and grocery stores and stuff like that. And the only thing they don't have right now is bread. And so the request came up to me to see if maybe the board would be interested in providing, I think, $50 to buy bread if we can't get the donations for it, so that we can contribute as well. And so I wanted to run that by the board and see what people thought.
Motion to approve $50, up to $50 for bread for the spaghetti dinner.
Second, any discussion on that?
Is that enough?
Supposedly it was. Like they said 40 was probably good enough, 50 is just in case. so.
I certainly have no problem with it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you guys very much.
Will be garlic.
That's too much.
So can you arrange that? arrange that with her somehow,
Yep.
whatever.
Please,
the rest of
please
the
save the receipts and just get them to me, and we'll take care of it.
All right. Thank you, guys. All right, so other new business we have is looking at board goals. I see in our packet, we do have our policy BAA in here. Or is it BA-R, which is the evaluation of school board operational procedures. What we don't have is the list of goals that we came up with earlier in the
I
year.
believe I have
You have
those.
them, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope those are the correct ones. I tried to put them in some kind of usable form, and I did a very brief overview of what I thought was done and what's progressing.
All right, great. So what I was thinking we would do with these is if all of the members could take a look at the BAR policy and the worksheet there, and maybe we're supposed to all fill out our numbers on that and then bring them together and make an average. Then at the same time, perhaps look at the Northwood School Board goals that was just handed out. These are the goals that we put together in the beginning of the year, and I would say for each of these top-level headings, 1, 2, 3, that we should give ourselves. We can use the same key from the other one. 1 poor, 2 inadequate, 3 adequate, 4 good, and 5 excellent. So I guess I'm just asking that all members do that in between now and our next meeting, and then we can compile them in our next meeting. That work for everyone? Anything else for that? Does anybody have any questions or discussion around these? Okay. Committee reports. Do we have any, the calendar committee we saw, clubs committee must have met for the snowshoe club?
Well, we just met through the email.
That's fine, yeah.
Budget committee met, but nothing. That was just,
The hearing.
well, no, we haven't had the hearing. That's this weekend. That's
We
this
had-
Saturday, but
We had the public hearing on the budget. We have,
that was before our last meeting, I think, though.
yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Right, the town deliberative session is tomorrow, Saturday morning.
Saturday.
And then ours, that's obviously Thursday. Okay. Any other committees meet in the meantime? All right, old business. We have our parking lot items and school board timeline. There was, let's start, okay, I guess we should start with the parking lot items. School board newsletter, Ms. Young brought to me a proposal for doing a school board newsletter, which I think would be a really good idea. Would you like to talk about that, or you want me to go over it? All right.
So I sympathize with Keith because it's hard to summarize a lengthy meeting where lots of things are talked about after the fact, because I bet you don't run home at 9 o'clock on a Thursday night and jot everything down. So one of the techniques that we use at our building leadership team meetings is we have a person who's responsible for capturing what we call talking points, and those are sort of the big ideas of the meeting. The minutes are always available to everybody, but if somebody doesn't have time to read the minutes, what are the highlights? So that person takes notes. Anybody at the meeting can say, hey, I think that should be a talking point. The person jots it down. We take a few minutes at the end of the meeting to review them, adjust, and then that serves as the basis of any summary or newsletter that you go home and write.
So I think that's a good idea, and I'd like to start doing that during our meetings, because I have obviously not been very good at doing it on my own. So you guys be up for trying that maybe our next meeting and every future meeting, and remind me if I forget to assign someone to take notes. And maybe we can get this off the ground at this very late time. I think it's still gonna get a 0 on the evaluation for that part, but we can move forward. All right, anything on that? All right, other things on our parking lot, we have the boiler tank we talked about, solar panels. I think we push that to April for future discussions. We start looking into things when things settle down a little bit. The tractor, what are we doing with the tractor? I guess
Looks like for the 2018 budget discussion, the capital improvement, we're gonna get a quote for it.
we in the process of that?
When do you want it?
I don't think we even asked for it.
I think we had discussed putting it off and doing it through the CIP, but I don't, I mean, you haven't
No,
got
we
it
haven't.
in next budget,
Right.
so.
Right, we didn't put it in the budget for next year.
We've certainly talked about a tractor. I know that the Facilities Committee pair probably, for the first time in the history, agreed that, on something, and that is that we don't need a new tractor yet. So I'm just surprised when it keeps coming up.
Well, it keeps coming up because it's in our parking lot. I mean, if we want to take it out, we can take it out.
You know, I really don't think we're there. We have taken incredibly good care of this tractor. I know that Tom would like a new tractor, but I just don't see that as a very necessary thing. I'm far more interested in, you know, pursuing the safety issues around the school and stuff like that. I just don't see the tractor as,
I don't like the way that you said that Tom would like a new tractor. This actually came up because you complained about how much we were spending on repairing the tractor.
no,
So I don't think it's that Tom is asking for a new
That's not true.
tractor.
Yes, he is. He certainly is.
Tom has never said, "I want a new
We're taking the
tractor."
tractor out of town at huge expense, when at that time, we had a man who works on the tractors right here in town. And so the cost of getting the tractor to and from this place is in Pittsfield is just wrong. So we have people around here. But anyway, honestly, I don't see the need of a tractor. So that's my opinion. So, and we will need a tractor one day, but I do look at the bills on the tractor. You're right. You know,
Yes,
and
I know,
we're-
but I'm not
We're
saying it's
changing the
not.
oil and the oil filters 2 or 3 times a year, which is why I had wanted to look into it. That's a little crazy.
So what would you like to do with the tractor?
Me, nothing.
So,
Where did we put it in the CIP plan? That's the thing too. I don't even know.
yeah, we
where
could
it's-
talk to Mr. Strobel and then see where we are with that one.
Yeah.
Ask him. Maybe what we should do is refer this, I mean, I'd like to get a definitive answer maybe from the Facilities Committee to say, what's the plan for this? And if the recommendation is to take it off this and stop talking about it, that's fine.
I mean,
have
I'm
no
the end
problem
of
with
the facilities committee, so, and I'm gonna stop in and talk to Tom about it, but I really don't see.
So is it 2 years? Is it 3 years? That's the thing, is where,
Sure.
like, we
Yeah, yeah.
we
If
said we were gonna
had-
put it in the
It absolutely
CIP.
belongs on the CIP. no
Right, and
question
where did
about
we
it.
put it in the like, where did we put it in our plan? So that's what I was asking.
I don't have an answer for that, but it does need to be on the CIP. It's just not, I mean, we have some other things, the steps and things that are far more important at the moment.
So, Ms. Young, could you maybe get a statement from Mr. Sears about that?
Sure
What-
thing.
what we need, what his anticipated thing is, and then we can have some discuss on that.
And also, while you're doing that, so could you and Tom decide when we're going to meet and let me know? I'm available 99% of the time.
Sure, I guess just for clarification purposes, I'm not sure what my role is in the Facilities Committee other than a member in terms of scheduling and communicating, because that's been done a couple different ways. So if we could get a firm answer on that, that would be helpful.
I think that's a fair thing. So I'll tell you what I think your role is, and people can disagree or agree if they want. I think your role is working with Tom and to point out to the Facilities Committee, who would then bring it to the board, all of the issues that you have in the school that you think need to be addressed. That's, to me, what you would do. And I would just assume that you would get that information from Tom and anybody else around the school who might have some issues with some of the things. I mean, some of the things we've talked about in the past is like doors on the side of the stage, and we've talked about all sorts of things.
No,
So-
I certainly understand that. I'm sorry, my question probably wasn't clear enough.
Okay.
I was asking more in terms of scheduling them and communicating,
Well,
coordinating the
I
timing
don't
of them.
feel like I could just come in and say, Tom, we need to meet. So I feel that I probably should go through you. And I'm readily available, so whenever, and I think Tom most of the time is. And I just would like to see a list, of the things that are of a concern, and we can talk about them.
Yeah, I would include Mr. Wells and,
He-
and not scheduling. I know he said he wasn't gonna be able to make it, but, his interest, he he tried to get off the committee, but we
And
didn't let
that's
him.
fine, yeah. I mean, it's fine if he wants to come, but
Right.
he specifically said he didn't.
Right,
want
his
to do it.
attendance, would probably not be
And if you want
required.
somebody else to be the facilities committee person, that's fine too, but I'm happy to do it either way. It doesn't matter, but.
Does that work for you?
Sure.
Okay.
Was your question answered?
For now.
Well, now's the time to ask any other questions. Other things we have a report card is on our April 1st meeting, our first meeting in April, excuse me, and the competency presentation number 2 in April.
That'll be your curriculum director that's doing that competency presentation next, so my recommendation is so you don't have a report card presentation and a competency presentation in the same month, that maybe you move that to May.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense.
That makes sense?
We okay with that? Let's change that to May. School board timeline, February, discussion of 6th grade science camp with school board. Deliberative session,
I don't know what the discussion is. Is that with just the update?
I guess, maybe it's just what the plan is, and it just so happens that the plan is the same this year as it was last year, so maybe that's all that matters. Board feedback on non-CBA staff. Does everybody recall what that's about? Oh, I know what that's about. That's for, we talked, that's for evaluating our non-CBA, our administration and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was to provide the board with an opportunity in a non-public to
Right.
give me any feedback that they wanted me to take into consideration when doing the evaluations.
When are the evaluations done? Are they done in March or?
Yeah, usually late February, early March.
Okay, so that's why that's in here, so maybe we can even do that in non-public tonight. Board evaluation policy we hit on, and the superintendent evaluation, that's already been completed at the joint board level. Give it to you.
We should probably move that, since what is the joint board's policy now, that it should be done by, is it by February? I can't remember.
I think we're late again, I think it was even earlier than that.
So we should probably move that to
Yeah, we
wherever it
probably-
is,
we
like a
probably
month
should.
before, wherever that is.
I think that's a
I
good
can't
idea.
remember.
Yeah,
Probably move that to November.
Because it was in December that the joint board said that we would have the evaluation done?
yeah,
Okay, then, yeah, we should probably move that to November.
I agree with that, yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Maybe it would help us remember to do it on time.
Right, well, then that's what the whole point of this calendar is, right?
Yep.
So,
You have it in October already.
Oh, so we have it twice?
Maybe.
Now we have it 3 times.
All right.
well,
We'll be reminded.
Maybe we'll get it done
it is in October.
in the timely manner.
I'll just leave it in October. Maybe this is just this, maybe this is supposed to be the start of it for the June, we're supposed to evaluate twice, one mid-year and one at the end of the year. So maybe this is the early for the end of the year, perhaps. Seems a little too early, though. All right. That's my agenda. Future agenda items. I don't know that we've marked anything for next month, for next meeting yet. So is there anything anyone wants to add? Maybe a report from the facilities committee by next meeting?
I think that's doable. Meet in 2 weeks, before 2 weeks? Sure.
And I guess if anyone else has any ideas, let me know. Please, 7 days before.
We're gonna do the board eval.
Yes, the board evaluation, thank you. Yep. Okay, I do have some discussion here about the, our future meetings. Starting off next Thursday is our deliberative session with a snow day on February 10th. I don't think we have anything to talk about for that. However, March 1st is our regularly scheduled board meeting for March, and then the 13th, that's the first and third Thursday. March 1st ends up right in the middle of February vacation this year, so I have a feeling some of our staff and maybe even board members may not be available. So since March is a month with 5 Thursdays in it, I'd like to suggest moving our board meetings there back a week. So instead of having it on March 1st and March 13th, we would have it on March 8th and March 22nd.
That's after voting, correct?
The,
Voting is on the 13th.
Oh, I thought it was the 3rd for some reason.
I think
Okay.
it's,
that right?
well, it's a Tuesday, so it'd be on, I think it's the 12th.
I thought it was on the 13th too. You sure you're on the right year?
Maybe not.
This is 13.
Yeah.
I
No,
thought
you're right.
13th.
You're right, sorry, I was just reading the wrong number. No, yes.
It's 1st and 15th.
It's the 1st and the 15th, so I'd be moving it from the 8th to the 8th and the 22nd. Yeah, sorry. So our reorg meeting would have been 2 days after voting. This would move it to a week and 2 days after voting, which might be a good idea anyway, too, I was thinking, because gives if there's new members, it gives them a chance to get.
Is that gonna interfere with the planning board meeting?
Probably. Yeah, because they usually do, what, the 2nd and 4th or something like that, or?
That's opposite of what you guys,
Right. So that would be a drawback then. It may.
just a thought.
Yep, no, that's, I mean, I think we're interfering with them next Thursday as well. The deliberative session is the same time as everything. Yeah. We're not, I hope, we're gonna get them mad at us, but, so anyway, I wanted to do that. I didn't know what the board wanted to do for that, so I wanted to throw that out there. Is that something you guys want to do?
I'm okay with that.
Neutral. Either way is fine.
It doesn't matter to me.
Okay, so let's just plan on that then. Let's change our,
From the 1st to and 15th to 8th and 22nd.
right.
Okay. We can
And
do that.
since we've done that, now if we look at our February 15th meeting, that means we're going to have a board meeting on the 15th of February, and then our next board meeting won't be till March 8th, which is 3 weeks. I've heard a few people might not be able to make the 15th meeting, so I was wondering what people thought about moving that back a week as well. So instead of February 15th, it would be February 22nd. Just because I know at least 2 board members won't be here, and we might not have a quorum if somebody else doesn't show up. And since we have room in March, maybe it makes sense to push that back as well. Any opinions on that? So I'm proposing to move the February 15th board meeting to February 22nd. Okay.
It doesn't matter to me.
Okay. All right.
Fine with that.
All right, so if everybody's okay with that, we'll do that as well. So our next board meeting will be on February 22nd, and then March 8th, and March 22nd. So we're going off schedule for this month. And then in April, it also goes right back to normal scheduling. I think we'll be okay.
Okay.
And then we have a joint board meeting scheduled for February 19th at the SAU office, then again on March 26th. Is there any closing public comment? Any board member, oh, sorry.
The only thing, just changing meetings, your payroll weeks will be on the opposite, so you just have to keep that in mind.
We'll be in touch for signatures.
Sign.
Well, we always go back and forth on that anyway, don't we? We always get off
Right now,
by,
they're falling together.
Oh, they just happen to fall together right now.
Those meetings, it will be off.
okay. Well, I'll be into, so,
Thursday.
Certain months, it kicks it out of whack again. So-
yeah. Any board members like to take this opportunity for public comment? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment session then. We do have need for a non-public session under RSA 91-A32
C.
C. So I'll make a motion that we go into non-public. Is there a second?
Second.
We'll roll call in. Ms. Hartford?
Yes.
Ms. McGuigan, yes. Ms. Gunter?
Yes.
Mr. James?